Hello everyone, welcome back to MLS Moves. Please make sure you like this video down below, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. Today we're breaking down my 2024 Western Conference standing predictions. I did my Eastern Conference predictions yesterday, so if you missed that video, make sure to check the link in the description below. At number 14, we have the San Jose Earthquakes, who had a very impressive season last year with the roster they had. Christian Espinoza has been the best player for several seasons now, but I don't think he can do it all by himself again. They recently sold Cade Cowell to Chivas this winter and replaced him with the Norwegian winger Amal Pellegrino, who was the Norwegian League Golden Boot winner, but in a Western Conference that's getting better, it won't be enough. Hopefully, the San Jose club will spend more money this summer to try to compete and hopefully make the playoffs again in 2024. At number 13, I have Austin FC. The Texas club had an incredible 2022 season with MVP level performance by Sebastian Driussi, but in 2023 they fell off hard. They were embarrassed in the CONCACAF Champions League, getting bounced in the first round, and then they failed to make the playoffs in 2023. Josh Wolf is on the hot seat, and if the club doesn't show improvements early on, he will surely be gone sooner than later. I'm not exactly sure why the club wasn't more active this winter, but I think it's going to hurt them, especially early on in the season. At number 12, we have Sporting KC. The club hasn't been very active this window either. They haven't added any high-level players, with Peter Vermees having several up and down moments in his tenure with the club. Who knows what's going to happen with Kansas City? They still have Alan Pulido, who looked lethal and like a top 3 striker in MLS when he was healthy, but the problem is, can he ever stay healthy and consistent? This isn't the Sporting Kansas City of 10 years ago when they had Graham Zusi, Roger Espinoza in his prime, and Matt Beasler, and I think they haven't stepped into the modern MLS era yet. They need to start spending on young South American talents like most of the other league is doing, and until they do that, I'm not sure that they will compete for an MLS Cup in the near future. At number 11, we have the Colorado Rapids. Now, I might get hate for this because the Rapids have been active this window by signing Jordi Mihailovic, Zach Steffen, and Sam Vines, but I don't think that's enough to truly compete in MLS in 2024. Also, Chris Armas has been a disaster as a manager in MLS with failed stints at Toronto FC and with the New York Red Bulls, and I don't think he's the right guy for the job. They honestly should have just kept Robin Fraser if they were going to hire Chris Armas. This team will be much improved, but I don't think it'll be enough to make the playoffs as is in 2024, but it's nice to see the ownership is starting to spend and looks like they finally care about the Rapids. At number 10, we have the Portland Timbers. They have Diego Chara, and that's about it from their winning days. Gio Savarese was a good manager. I just think his time in Portland became stagnant, and it was best to move on for both parties. In comes manager Phil Neville, who failed to enter Miami, and many people were against his hire by the Timbers. This club will need a striker to compete, and more from their record-breaking signing in Evander in 2024, who was rumored to be going to Brazil this past winter. Now, they did make a nice trade in getting Kamal Miller from Inter Miami, who reunites with Phil Neville, and that should help solidify the backline, but it's not going to be enough to make the playoffs in 2024. Maybe Merritt Paulson's waiting until the summer to make any big impact signings. At number 9, we have the Vancouver Whitecaps. A lot of their players are returning, including Ryan Gauld, who signed an extension this past offseason and has been revolutionary for the Whitecaps revival. Vonnie Sartini has turned out to be a great hire for the Whitecaps and had this team overperforming and playing very well last season, finishing 6th in the West and beating all the expectations of the club last year. This club still needs a striker, but their midfield and defense is solid and formidable, and I expect them to be competing for a playoff spot again in 2024. At number 8, we have Minnesota United. Minnesota United fired their inaugural manager in Adrian Heath, who was long overdue to be fired with several lackluster performances throughout his tenure. Cameron Knowles was named the caretaker, so we'll see what he can do for the Loons. They still have striker Timu Pukki, who they signed last summer, who will be asked to bag more goals in 2024, and I think that he's capable of doing it after he scored 10 goals in 14 matches for Minnesota. Luckily, the drama has ended after speculation that Emmanuel Reynoso would leave the club this winter, but he is thankfully back with the team and ready for the upcoming season. At number 7, we have St. Louis City SC. They They had a magical expansion season, and even some would say the best expansion season in MLS history after finishing first in the West. But I see the Missouri club struggling more in year 2. They sold Gioacchini this winter, who was crucial for the club last year. They still have Klaus, Lowen, and Berkey and Tim Parker, but they haven't added much to keep up with the other improving Western Conference teams. They're still a playoff team, just not the number 1 team in 2024. At 6, we have RSL. RSL was a fun team to watch last season, especially when they got Chicho Arango in the summer from Pachuca, who was a proven goal scorer in MLS with his tenure with LAFC. They also lost 2 key pieces though, in Jefferson Savarino, who returned to Brazil, Damir Kreilach, who signed on a free transfer with the Whitecaps. I think Pablo Mastroeni is a good manager, and he had some success when he was the coach at the Colorado Rapids several years ago, and he will have RSL competing to be a top 5 club in the Western Conference, especially with Diego Luna looking to take the next step and become a top-tier player in MLS in 2024. At number 5, we have the Houston Dynamo. Man, there wasn't a team I was more wrong about in 2023 than the Houston Dynamo. Ben Olsen, who had an up-and-down tenure with DC United, proved to be an effective and steady coach for the Dynamo in 2023. Hector Herrera looked like a new player last season as he had one of the best midfield campaigns in the league. They still have Coco Carrasquilla for now, and I think with their current roster, they're still a top 5 club in the West. They will likely need to add more help in the summertime to truly compete for an MLS Cup, and with the new ownership, I expect them to do this, and for Houston to be a team to watch out for in 2024. At number 4, we have the LA Galaxy. I think the LA Galaxy are finally back. They signed Gabriel Peck from Vasco da Gama for a club record fee of 10 million euros and are on the verge of signing Ghanaian winger Joseph Poncel for what looks like to be a 9 million euros fee. They also added Japanese right back Miki Yamane, and this club has finally given their star player Ricky Puig some much needed help to make his job easier and see if this team can truly compete. We will see what Joveljic can do with the service provided to him and if he can finally be a consistent goal scorer in MLS. Greg Vanney has no excuses with the help he has been given, and I think he will return back to his Toronto FC winning days. Will Kuntz for sure made his job a lot easier this upcoming season. At number 3, we have LAFC. The club has been a revolving door of players coming in and out, mostly because MLS doesn't really allow teams to stay intact for too long, especially if they're winning. They will surely miss Chiellini on the field and his leadership, but they still have their star winger in Denis Bouanga, the reigning MLS Golden Boot winner. They also added Hugo Lloris, the French goalkeeping legend from Tottenham this past winter on a free transfer, and they also got Eduard Atuesta back from Brazil, a player that played for LAFC for their first 3 years, while also signing left back Omar Campos and young talent David Martinez. The big question is, will club legend Carlos Vela return? He has been enjoying his off-season by skiing and drinking wine and having a good time with his family. But at this point, with the preseason almost over, is it going to be a good situation with him not being in form and trained and in shape to come this late in the process? Also, will LAFC finally fill all 3 of their U22s and 3 DPs for a full season? I believe this will be Dolo's toughest season while in charge of LAFC, and we will see if John Thornton can make magic with this roster. At number 2, we have FC Dallas. The Texas club broke their transfer fee record this offseason with the signing of Benfica striker Peter Musa. He's been added to an attack of Paul Arriola, Alan Velasco, and Sebastian Ferreira, which could be one of the best in MLS. Nico Estevez has proven himself to be the right guy for the job, and I'm very high on this young, talented team, and I think they're going to turn some heads and be a very fun, must-watch team in 2024. I would say that they're my surprise team of the year in Major League Soccer. And last but not least, we have the Seattle Sounders, who have been, without a doubt, the gold standard of Major League Soccer for the last decade. They have won 2 MLS Cups and the first MLS team to win the CONCACAF Champions League in the modern era in the last 8 years. They're by far the league's most successful team, and even though they lost their club legend Nico Ladero, which is definitely going to hurt, they signed young promising Argentine winger Pedro de la Vega. They also have a returning core of Jordan Morris, Christian Roldan, Leo Chu, Albert Rusnak, Raul Ruidiaz, Stefan Fry, and their manager Brian Schmetzer. Brian Schmetzer will lead this team back to an MLS Cup final sooner than later, and this could be the year. Thank you so much for watching. Comment down below and let me know if you agree with my standings or what you would change. What are your standings predictions? Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure you check out my Eastern Conference prediction video. The link is in the description below. And until next time, I will see you all soon.